Hey, Cal Ewing here. I'm a real estate investor and mortgage note investor. And in this video, I'm going to break down a note investment deal that I was looking at recently from a cash flowing perspective. This is a performing note, or I guess a re-performing note. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to break down exactly how I analyze a performing note deal, how I would run the numbers, and you can just see some of the benefits of buying a performing mortgage note as an investor for cash flow. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here is how I have analyzed this performing note deal. So the property, the collateral on this note is a property in Tampa, Florida. Okay, not a bad looking place, pretty average. The property itself is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath with 1040 square feet. Okay, so a small house and on a big lot, which was nice. And it was built in 1950. Okay, so just keep in mind, so this is not making an offer to buy the property. Okay, this is making an offer to purchase the mortgage or the note secured to the property. Okay, so this is basically, from an investment standpoint, becoming the bank, not the property owner. Okay, so it's important to clarify we're not buying the house here. So this is the note. I was in communication earlier this week, or I guess last week, with the note seller. Unfortunately, this deal fell through because apparently the seller had an offer already, but he thought it was going to not go through. And so he said he was willing to take my offer on this. I was ready to go, but when I came back to him, his original buyer, I guess, came through or something. So unfortunately, this deal didn't work out, which I'm pretty sad about, as you will see why it would be. But I thought it'd be a good opportunity anyways to discuss the deal. And some of you that are watching, you may have actually gotten an email from me if you're on my investor list looking for someone to help fund the deal. Okay, so you may recognize these numbers in this property. All right, so this note that was for sale, it was a private investor that actually owned the note, and he was selling it after he bought it from a larger lending company, a bank or something like that. And he bought it when it was a non-performing note. And I'll give you the backstory in a second. But here are the details that were offered to me on this note. Okay, so it's a first lien mortgage. Okay, which is great. We want to be buying first liens. At least with my business model, that's what we're looking for. So that there's no other liens in front of it, which could get in the way. We want to have first claim be first priority should we have to foreclose or anything happen. So the unpaid balance left remaining on the note was 114 and change, but the total loan payoff is 117,643. Okay, so there's some, I guess, outstanding fees or things like that. I didn't really dig into it yet, but that was the total payoff owing on the note was 117,600. Okay, the as-is value of this property, and I ran my comps using PropStream, so I didn't order a broker price opinion or anything like that at this point because this was just the preliminary due diligence and offer phase. Okay, but I determined and agreed with the note seller that the value as is right now of this property was 169. Okay, and then if we got the offer accepted, we would go in and verify the actual property value prior to closing. Okay, so with that, the loan to value, so the loan of the total payoff 117 in ratio to the value of the home was 67%. So there's some equity there, which is good. And the monthly principal and interest payment that the borrower was paying was $884.25 at an 8.5% interest rate, which is always, from a lender's perspective, a higher interest rate is good, right? So that was good. And the loan payoff is in 29 years, so 2051. And so the price that we were able to negotiate was $75,000 to buy this note, this prior to the deal falling through. But that was where we were at as far as the purchase price to buy the note. So the backstory on this loan, and this is what the seller was telling me, is that the borrower, he used the word scammed. I don't know. It seems like some kind of mix-up though. The borrower was sending his mortgage payment to the wrong company, so the wrong servicing company or something like that, for 2 years, paying the wrong company, and no one let him know that. And meanwhile, the lender that actually had the note was not getting paid. So he was behind on his payments. They were looking to maybe even foreclose on the person, on the owner. Um, and that lending institution was the one that sold the note to the current owner. Okay. So what the current owner did when they bought the note was they modified the loan, got the borrower back on track paying again. And that borrower has been paying for the last year, 12 plus months, somewhere like that, consistently. So it's a reperforming note. And really, in theory, the borrower never was off track. He was just paying the wrong person. So he kept making his payments, which is a good thing from a lending perspective. He was just paying the wrong lender, which is too bad. But that's good if you're evaluating the deal, that we've got a good borrower that's able and willing to pay monthly and regularly. All right, so the original loans was originated in 2006. Okay, and the original balance is 109,800, and it was, like I said, it was modified last year by the current owner of the note. So that's why there's 347 months remaining on the note, so 29 years. It was a 30-year modification on the loan. And so they're current. They paid their October payment. The next one was November. Right now, it's actually November 1st when I'm recording this. So they're on track. They're not behind, which is all good. So this is a great loan. I liked it a lot. And so here are the numbers and why I like it from an investment perspective. Okay, so let's look at the cash flow analysis of this. All right. So I'm not looking at this as a way to foreclose on the borrower since they're performing. That's not really in the picture here. We're looking at this as an investment to bring in consistent month after month passive income or monthly cash flow. Okay, this is part of me personally. This is part of my retirement strategy, is to just get passive income coming every month. Okay. So as I mentioned, the monthly payment coming in from the borrower, if we were to buy this note, is $884.25. Okay. So in 1 year, that's $10,611 coming in annually if we were to buy the note. Okay. Now, if you consider that we were going to pay $75,000 for this note, okay, let's go back here. So remember, the total payoff is $117,000. We were buying it for $75,000. So if you figure out $10,611 per year on a $75,000 investment, that's 14% return, which is excellent. Okay. So let's also look at the equity here. So as I mentioned, the as-is value, at least preliminarily, is $169,000. The loan payoff was $117,600. So if you look at that, there's $51,000 in equity there in that property. All right, which is a loan to value actually of 70%. I think earlier it said like 67, but it's about 70% loan to value, meaning that there's 30% equity. Okay. Now, from a lender, we wouldn't ever capture that equity, but it's really great to know that if property values were to drop in that area, which they have been doing recently in 2022, there's a 30% buffer above the loan amount. So if the property value goes down a bit, we don't really have to worry about getting that full $117,000 payoff. Typically, like something pretty bad would have to happen for the house to be go from 169 to 117. Okay, not to say it can't happen, but that's a great equity cushion for us, keeping us secure and safe as the lender. All right. Now, keep in mind, we're not paying 117 for the note. We're not paying full value for it. We were going to buy it for 75,000. So that creates even more equity cushion, right? More protection for our investment, more security. So if we look at it from that perspective, the property is worth 169. We're buying the note for 75,000. There's a cushion, really, a security blanket of 94,000. Okay, so even if the property dropped 93,000, we are still in great position to get paid off on at least on our initial investment of 75,000. So that's a great spot to be in. And so we're really looking at 56% equity from our purchase price of 75,000. So really, this is just security, knowing that our money's safe if we were to invest in this deal. Okay, so now let's look at two plausible future scenarios. Okay, number one, I mean, the borrower's been paying really well since 2006. He got into that mishap, but from what we can tell, he hasn't missed a payment. So we can assume that if the borrower were happily living there and they were to stay there for the next 29 years, just making their loan payment every month, then we would be getting paid for 347 months, and we would be getting paid $884.25. Okay, so if you add all that up, that's $306,834 of income coming in. All right, which works out to about $10,580 a year. My math might not be perfect on this. I think I had it a little bit lower above, but you get the idea. It's about 10,000, over 10,000 a year. All right. And on a initial investment of 75,000, which was our note purchase price, you could have that paid off in 7 years. Okay. So after 7 years of payments, you got your initial investment back and you're just making gravy. All right. Okay, well, let's say in a different scenario, what happens if the borrower decides to sell the property? Okay, so maybe they get relocated with work or something and they want to sell off the property. Well, just like you or me, if you have a house with a mortgage on it, if you go to sell, your bank gets paid off first, right? And so you typically have to sell the property for more than what is owed to your mortgage lender. So this is no different, right? So they would have to sell the house for at least the total payoff amount on the note, right? Which as I mentioned, was about 117. Okay, so they'd have to sell this house for at least 117 in order for us to release the lien or the note from the property. Okay, to allow them to sell it. But keep in mind, we don't get any equity, right? As a lender, we only get the total payoff amount. So if there's any equity, that goes to the seller, right? So what we're looking at here is the loan payoff amount minus our purchase price. So let's say, for example, the borrower sells in 3 years, okay? Hypothetically, in 3 years, if you use a mortgage amortization schedule and look at this note, there would be about $110,838 left paying in 3 years on this mortgage, okay? So that's what we would get paid off if we were the owner of the note and he sold it in 3 years, the house, if he sold the house in 3 years. So if we subtract 110,838 from our initial investment of 75,000, then cash in our pockets would be 35,838. Okay. Plus, we would also have been collecting for the last 3 years the principal and interest payments. Okay. And so that would be 884.25 times 36 months is another 31.8 in profit. So the total profit after 3 years, if they sold the house and paid us off, would be 67,671. And if you annualize that return, it's about 30%. So that's awesome. I love it. Either way, if they stay in the house for 30 years, that's great. You know, we're going to make 306,000 minus the 75,000 investment. If they sell in a few years, that's fine too. We're going to get some cash at the sale plus all the money we've been collecting during those months while they were making their payments. So beautiful either way. Okay. If they stop paying, you know, we could look at that, but right now there's no indication that they would, but we would pursue foreclosure or something like that. And as I mentioned, there's enough equity in the house that if we foreclosed and sold off the property, we're still going to do well, right? We're still protected. We're going to come out ahead and all's rosy. Okay, so as a note investor, if you're yourself looking at being a note investor or you already are, you'll know that, you know, you only have so much money to buy your own note deals before you're going to run out. You're going to have your money invested in notes, and then you're going to probably want to do more deals if you find them, right? So if you were to bring on a private lender to help fund your deals, say your uncle or something like that, this is a hypothetical scenario of what that would look like in order to get this deal done, okay? So let's say you borrowed the money to buy the deal plus a little bit extra for your due diligence, right? A broker price opinion and things like that. So let's say you borrow 76,000 and you find someone like I said, your uncle or somebody like that that's used to making, you know, a really low return on their CDs, or maybe they have money sitting in their savings account earning next to nothing, getting eaten up by inflation. If you offered them 7% return, for some folks, that's a really, really great return. Okay. Especially if it's secured to a deal like this, where there's so much equity securing their deal or securing their investment. Okay. So let's say you offered 7%, that works out to $443.33 a month that you would be paying your private lender. So what would happen is the borrower would make their payment. you would then pay the private lender, and then you would be able to keep the remaining cash flow. So your private lender in a year would earn $5,320. And then after you paid off or not paid off, but paid your private lender their monthly share at 7%, the monthly cash flow remaining for you would be $440.92. So you can see in this case, it's almost a 50-50 split, right? Your lender's earning 443, you'd be earning 441. So it's pretty much a split here. Okay. And this is great because now you've got a deal where you didn't have to put any funds into the deal. Maybe you don't have them available because you're already invested in other notes, but you're still able to take down a great deal like this and provide a private lender with a great return on their money. They don't have to do anything. They basically just invest, get the note purchased, and then they're sitting back and collecting those recurring monthly payments, which is excellent for them, right? So annually, that's $5,291 of income. Now, that's nothing to write home about. It's not necessarily life-changing for anybody, but if you can live off $5,000 a month, well, that's 1 month taken down. That's 1 month of passive income coming in. And if you were to do another 11 of those deals, then suddenly you're in financial freedom mode, right? All of your monthly expenses are covered as long as they're below 5,000, and you've got notes paying in every month. And suddenly you could take a year off and wouldn't matter, right? So that's the kind of freedom I'm looking for. That's why I do this. This is why I like performing notes or getting notes reperforming again, is for that cash flow, so that you're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're not stressed all the time about money, and you just so much freedom and flexibility when you've got all your expenses covered by deals like this that are paying passively. All right, so I hope that helped, or at least explained why someone would want to buy a mortgage note instead of invest in the actual properties as a real estate investor. If you're interested in learning more, either about just note investing in general or real estate investing, I'm happy to get on a 20-minute call with you. If you're also interested in what being a private lender on a note deal might look like for you, if you were to want to work with us, we can talk about that as well. Usually we would do it over a Zoom call, and I'm going to post the link directly under this video. And feel free to reach out and we can have a discussion, or I can answer any of your questions. And keep on this channel. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, because I'm going to be releasing more content every week as much as possible on note and real estate investing. So stay tuned for more. I'm Cal Ewing. Thanks for watching, and take